Hey everyone, Mike Slifer here in the First Alert Forecast Center with another First Alert Weather Extra. 10 minutes of weather content for you. We'll break down what we're expecting here tomorrow with our First Alert Weather Day and a look ahead to the beginning of the month of August. So the dangerous heat and humidity came to an end today. Tomorrow it's all about the flood risk, followed by a fantastic weekend. So let's jump right into what we're expecting for the final day of July. Downpours and scattered thunderstorms tomorrow will bring rain, which will be heavy at times. We're looking at rain totals in the 2 to 4 inch range, especially for areas north and west of the I-84 corridor. Travel will be impacted, outdoor plans impacted, and there is the risk for flooding, not just poor drainage flooding, but also perhaps flash flooding. Flood watches are in effect beginning tomorrow afternoon, lasting for 24 hours, although we do think that by the middle of the day Friday, we will see some big improvements. We'll show you what exactly we're expecting here on First Alert Futurecast. By, say, noon, 1 in the afternoon, we start to see some developing downpours. They're pretty isolated in nature at first, but they quickly become scattered, running into the rain that will be dropping out of, say, parts of New York and Massachusetts. So then by 4 o'clock, we have rain pretty much ongoing statewide, and it will be falling at a very heavy clip, continuing through the evening. Unfortunately, this means it could be tough for the evening commute tomorrow, with some very heavy rain expected. By 7 o'clock, things are beginning to wind down a bit, but really what we'll be watching happen is some of the heaviest rain just starts to taper, but it's still wet, it's still raining. That continues overnight into Friday morning. It's not until later Friday where we really start to see things clear up. 2 to 4 inches of rain, particularly for areas north and west of the 84 corridor. So this is going to be a soaking rain event for many. If your lawn's a little brown, perhaps a bit of a silver lining. The issue is too much rain too quickly, of course, means we have the potential for flooding. Models have been in very good agreement. Some subtle differences on where exactly the heaviest rain falls, but the takeaway is the same. We are looking at very heavy rainfall across Connecticut. And we talk a lot about this map right here, the excessive rainfall outlook, which now shows a level 3 risk for parts of New Jersey and areas southwest. We're looking at a level 2 risk here in Connecticut. So what does the excessive rainfall outlook mean? Well, the higher the risk level, the more likely it is that flash flood guidance will be exceeded. So in other words, every specific point, according to the National Weather Service, has flash flood thresholds, however many inches per rain per hour, and those go from 1 hour to 3 hour to 6 hour to 12-hour increments. So when you start to see these yellows, and especially the reds, that means there's a higher likelihood that those thresholds for flash flooding will be met. But even if they're not met, we still run into issues with poor drainage flooding. So this is a pretty good signal that we will deal with a period of very heavy rain tomorrow. We certainly don't see level 2 risks here that frequently, but they do happen occasionally throughout the year. High temperatures today made it to the 90s for many towns. 96 in New Haven, 94 at Bradley, 95 in Bridgeport, 94 in Willimantic today, 92 in Waterbury. So we fell short of the record for the Hartford area, 98. We made it to 94. But we tied the record for Bridgeport. So all the way back in 1949, 95 was the record. That's where we ended the day today. However, we still solidified our third heat wave of 2025. We have seen 3 days in a row at or above 90, which brings our third heat wave. Tomorrow, we will certainly not make it into the 90s. We're also at 18 90-degree days total so far this year. Just as a point of reference, last year at this point in time, we were already above average at 21. In a typical year, we do see 20, and we don't really anticipate adding to this anytime soon. Perhaps that'll change once we get closer to the middle of August. A little bit more on that in just a moment. But for now, we're actually looking at things running a bit cooler, unseasonably cool out there by Friday. First Alert Live Radar is Connecticut's only live radar, scanning clear and dry across the state. Nothing to track within our state's borders. We had some severe warned storms roll through earlier this evening. Those have since dissipated entirely, and as we expected, once we lost our daytime heating, those showers would wind down too. If you look to the west toward Ohio, you can actually see the incoming round of rain. That is what we will be dealing with tomorrow. But in the meantime, things are still quiet across Connecticut and will be at least until, say, early afternoon tomorrow, maybe late morning. Temperatures all across the Northeast, 70s and 80s, a little bit hotter as you head southwest, but dew points are certainly higher through Scranton into Philly and Washington, D.C. So a lot more in the way of humidity through the mid-Atlantic. Across New England, a little bit of a break, muggy to humid depending on where you are, but not quite as oppressive as what's going on to our southwest. If we zoom in closer to Connecticut, more oppressive along the shoreline, not much of a surprise, especially with a bit of an onshore wind, helping to transport some of that moisture off of Long Island Sound. But temperatures otherwise are in the upper 70s and lower 80s. New Haven's the outlier at 85 degrees. But look at the difference in 24 hours. Many towns are just a couple degrees lower, but Meriden 9 degrees lower, 6 degrees lower at Hartford Brainerd right now. If you'll recall, last night on our First Alert Weather Extra, we were still talking about towns that were near the 90-degree mark and feeling like the 90s when you factored in the humidity. So certainly a bit of a break from that. Here's our iCam view in Torrington. We can see the moon there in the distance, lighting up a little bit more in the way of lingering cloud cover. We'll see clouds increase overnight tonight too. Our iCam view in Waterbury showing the roads have mostly dried up. It was a pretty impressive scene in Waterbury about 3 hours ago when we had those thunderstorms rolling through. Our iCam view in Windsor Locks, 82 degrees and quiet at Bradley International. Here's the look over downtown Middletown right now. Not much to track out there. That's Main Street that you see in the foreground there. Pretty quiet night. And look at this. We're getting the changing view on our iCam in New Haven. A little panning view there with the Pearl Harbor Memorial Bridge in the background. 85 still in the Elm City. We'll leave it on this for a minute. Get a view of 95 there and get a view of New Haven. A little sneak peek of what you'll see over on the wax at 10 o'clock, too, for our iCam views. And we'll finish with our iCam view in New London, where the ferry loading docks are dry. So, again, anyone that saw showers earlier, they were pretty isolated in nature. Those have since wound down. 65 to 70 for inland towns tonight, lower 70s along the shoreline. Another warm and muggy night as clouds increase. High temperatures tomorrow forecast to be in the lower 70s through the Litchfield Hills. We'll see some mid and upper 70s through the greater Hartford area and into the quiet corner. Typically this time of year, we would have high temperatures around 85 degrees. So we'll be 5 to 10 degrees below normal. And with a bit of an onshore component, that keeps most shoreline towns in the 70s tomorrow. And we'll see just inland in our southern four counties, more of those mid-70s mixed in. But something that will be an issue statewide tomorrow is air quality. Over the last couple of days, we've had some issues along the 95 corridor, particularly for sensitive groups. But air quality alerts will be in effect tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. statewide. And it won't be particularly hot. It's just we have that humidity to deal with, especially as this front nearly stalls out, very slow moving to our south. And with that area of low pressure moving along it, it will enhance our rainfall rates locally, especially through the afternoon and into the evening. By this time tomorrow, things will be tapering off, but we're not entirely dry until later Friday when that high pressure really starts to move in. Between the high and the low, we will have a developing northeasterly wind, which will bring drier air into the state, so dew points essentially on a downward trajectory from here through the weekend. That also means that on Friday, we're talking about temps only topping out in the lower half of the 70s. Typically, we would be in the mid-80s, unseasonably cool out there Friday. That does mean that overnight Friday into Saturday, we're dipping down into the 50s. Pretty nice. Open up the windows, let in some of the fresh air. By Saturday afternoon, highs right around 80 degrees, low humidity, full sunshine, into the 50s again Saturday night. These temperatures are more typical of what we could expect early September compared to early August. 80 to 85 Sunday, mid and upper 80s by Monday. Tuesday next week, we are staying in the mid 80s. Wednesday, maybe an isolated shower out there. Lower 80s expected. So that's 1 week from today. Once we get through the rain tomorrow, we can hone in on that a little bit more. We can't rule isolated showers out by the middle of next week, but at this point in time, the signal certainly doesn't look impressive as what we see tomorrow. But as we mentioned, a high temperature of 80 on Saturday, August 2nd, more typical of September 2nd. Our average high goes to 70 by September 29th and then 60 by October 24th. So less than 3 months. Average high temperature around 60 degrees. For the month of August, we begin with a high temperature on August 1st, average high of 85, average low is 63. By the end of the month, the average high is 81, average low is 59, and we see typically 4.21 inches of rainfall in the month of August for the Hartford area. So far this month in July, we've been above average. There's our 3 90-degree days strung together, our second heat wave of July, our third heat wave of the year. And you'll note that we haven't had any rainfall to contend with for the Hartford area specifically, but July 1st has a green tile when we picked up some rain, and we're expecting to do that again tomorrow. In fact, we're over 1.2 inches above where we typically would be this time of year, and we're 2.3 degrees above average through July 30th. So we'll see where the final numbers for the month settle out. But either way, another warmer and wetter than average month. And we wanted to bring this to your attention here. The 8 to 14-day temperature outlook here, which brings us through, say, August 6th through the 12th, roughly in that time frame. So this will get us into the second weekend of the month. These shades of red indicating the higher likelihood the temperatures actually do swing back above average. Now, we don't know how much, but in August, it's always possible that we see days in the upper 80s and low 90s, or even higher than that. So we are giving you the first alert here that there could be more heat on the way, and also giving you the first alert that we only have 9 days left with sunsets in the 8 o'clock hour. August 8th, 1 week from Friday, sunset is 8 p.m. So just something to keep in mind. A little taste of September out there this weekend, looking beautiful through at least the middle of next week. But we have to get through tomorrow. We have a flooding threat because of the heavy rainfall, another first alert weather day. We'll be talking much more about the timeline on this, what we're expecting for totals, and we might even have some new data to share with you on the Wax at 10 and over on Channel 3 tonight at 11 with Mark. And then you can join Scott Haney and Scott Gagliardi tomorrow morning. And we'll be tracking anything that develops throughout the day, and we'll be the first to alert you should any warnings be issued. That was our First Alert Weather Extra for Wednesday, July 30th. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, streaming live at 8 a.m. on WFSB Plus, and then again tomorrow night at 9:30.